What if I told you the history of African gods was deliberately erased? Why do we seldom hear of deities who shaped entire cultures, spiritual practices, and traditions that continue to influence the world in subtle, profound ways? These gods were not mere myths but powerful embodiments of nature's forces, guiding humanity's understanding of the cosmos. A hidden truth, meticulously concealed for centuries, lies beneath layers of historical distortion. Today, you're about to uncover what they didn't want you to know about African gods. A revelation that will challenge your beliefs about religion, history, and spirituality, shaking the foundations of what you thought was true. For generations, we've been taught to view African traditions with suspicion, fear, or outright disdain. This wasn't by chance. Who benefited from this erasure? Why were these vibrant stories twisted or removed from history books? More strikingly, what if much of the spirituality embraced globally today, from rituals to philosophies, has deep, unacknowledged roots in the African continent? Let's embark on an exploration into a captivating universe of powerful gods, ancestral wisdom, and secrets few have dared to reveal. To speak of African gods is to delve into forces of nature, entities that personify the universe's balance, spiritual energies that crossed oceans and endured centuries of cultural suppression. They tried to erase this truth, but the ancestral memory is far stronger than any imposed silence. Did you know that many symbols, rituals, and narratives in other religions bear striking parallels to African myths? Orishas, for instance, are intimately tied to creation and nature's elements: earth, water, fire, air. It's no coincidence that African peoples saw their gods as living presences. In the whispering wind through ancient baobabs, the thunder rolling across savannas, the rivers carving paths through the land, these deities weren't confined to distant temples but were woven into teach. Orishas, for instance, are intimately tied to creation and nature's elements: earth, water, fire, air. It's no coincidence that African peoples saw their gods as living presences. In the whispering wind through ancient baobabs, the thunder rolling across savannas, the rivers carving paths through the land, these deities weren't confined to distant temples but were woven into the fabric of existence, forging a living connection between humanity and the divine. Why does this truth unsettle so many? Because understanding African gods means reclaiming a powerful spiritual identity, one that predates colonization and the imposition of foreign religions. African cultures thrived with complex, profound worldviews, so potent that some chose to erase them rather than face their depth. This video isn't just about uncovering history, it's about questioning the very narratives you've been taught about spirituality. We'll explore ancient legends, hidden secrets, and connections to pivotal moments in humanity's story. Prepare to discover which names, symbols, and meanings were deliberately buried and why they matter. Behind every myth lies a powerful message, a spiritual code that pulses in the heart of humanity, waiting to be rediscovered. I invite you to stay until the end. This isn't just information. It's a transformative awakening. You may think you know about African gods, but you're about to realize how little has been revealed. Their stories intertwine with biblical narratives, global mythologies, and even modern scientific insights into energy and consciousness. What they don't want you to know is unraveling now. Let's begin our journey to understand who these gods are, why their story was hidden, and why it's crucial for you today. What are your thoughts? Do you believe this truth was erased on purpose? Comment below with what struck you most to ignite a powerful conversation. Your perspective could inspire others to reflect on this hidden history. If this resonates with your spirituality or curiosity, hit the like button to show you want more content like this and help spread this message to those ready to hear it. Subscribe and activate the bell to join us in uncovering mysteries hidden for centuries. Your engagement is a vote for this knowledge to reach those yearning to awaken. Let's dive deeper into how these stories were silenced to enforce a singular version of truth, one that diminished the power of African spirituality. African spirituality, with its intricate traditions explaining the world's origins, balance, and interconnectedness, was far more than folklore or superstition. It was a sophisticated system of wisdom, passed down through countless generations, guiding entire communities with insights into the universe's essence. These beliefs offered explanations for creation, the harmony between humanity and nature, and the invisible forces binding all living beings to the divine. Why was this knowledge silenced? Colonization wasn't merely about seizing land or exploiting resources. It was a calculated assault on spiritual identity to dominate the soul. By demonizing African gods, colonizers imposed their own beliefs, portraying African spirituality as evil, primitive, or dangerous. But was it truly evil, or did its immense power threaten those seeking control? Orishas, far from mere folk figures, are universal archetypes embodying nature's forces: wind, water, fire, earth, life, death. Each carries profound teachings that reflect aspects of our own being, from courage to compassion. Despite centuries of distortion, prohibition, and ridicule, these gods endured in the rhythms of drumbeats, the oral stories carried across oceans, and the traditions whispered in secret. Afro-Brazilian religions like Candomblé and Umbanda, born from the forced fusion of African, indigenous, and European cultures, hid Orishas behind Catholic saints, a testament to their unyielding resilience. What makes these gods so revered yet feared? They embody the very history of humanity's spirit. Colonization was not just a physical invasion but a cultural and spiritual one, teaching people to reject their own identity, to view their gods as evil. Yet African spirituality teaches balance, respect for nature's elements, and the power within each of us, rooted not in fear but in connection to universal forces that transcend time and space. Each Orisha serves as a key to unlock aspects of ourselves: our courage, compassion, wisdom, or transformative potential. Knowing this liberates you from narratives crafted to maintain control. Have you ever heard of the true origins of these gods? Have you reflected on how colonization reshaped spiritual identities? Comment, "I want to know the truth," or "I'm ready to wake up," to join this journey of rediscovery. Your voice matters in this collective awakening. African gods are not mere myths but living forces, transcending time and space, manifesting in the natural world and within the depths of our souls. Imagine every gust of wind sweeping across the plains, every thunderclap splitting the sky, every river carving its path through the earth, carrying the essence of a god. This is how African traditions perceive the world: a universe where the divine is not distant but ever-present, speaking through the elements, emotions, and moments that define our lives. At the heart of this cosmology is Olorin, the supreme creator, the infinite source from which all existence flows, like a boundless sky cradling the stars. From Olorin's divine energy arise the Orishas, each with a distinct role and connection to nature and human experience. Shango, the god of justice and thunder, commands balance, distinguishing right from wrong, his fiery strength surging in moments when life demands courage or decisive action. Oxum, the goddess of sweet waters and fertility, embodies love, empathy, and prosperity, teaching us the abundance that flows like a gentle river when we align with nature's rhythms. These are not distant, untouchable beings but archetypes mirroring our own virtues, challenges, and potential for growth. In moments of righteous anger, you may channel Ogum, the tireless warrior who cuts through obstacles with unyielding determination. In times of creation or healing, you may feel the nurturing presence of Oxum or Yemanja, the queen of the seas, whose maternal energy cradles life's mysteries. Iansa, goddess of winds and storms, reveals her power in turbulent skies, reminding us of transformation's necessity. Yemanja's vast oceans reflect life's immensity, while the fire tied to Shango and Ogum symbolizes both creation and destruction, a dual force of renewal. Unlike traditions that separate the sacred from the natural, African spirituality sees the divine in every leaf, every breeze, every heartbeat. We are living in an era where ancient prophecies are unfolding, yet many remain unaware of the spiritual currents shaping our world. This is why I've made my digital book, Reveal the Apocalypse, available for immediate download through the first pinned comment. This book unveils the mysteries of these times, offering insights that can transform your understanding and your life. Get your copy now, only a few remain and it will soon be withdrawn. Don't miss this chance. Why is this profound wisdom absent from history books? Because it empowers us, making us freer, stronger, and more connected to the divine within and around us. A truthsome fear. Oxala, considered the father of all Orishas, embodies peace, serenity, and creation, urging us to find calm amid chaos, to listen for the divine's whisper in stillness. Iansa, by contrast, teaches transformation, embracing the storms that reshape our lives, even when they feel chaotic. Have you ever felt an inner storm that changed everything? Which Orisha resonates with you now? Do you seek Shango's justice, Oxum's sweetness, or Ogham's path-opening strength? Comment, I want to know more about Oxum, or talk about Shango, to guide future content that speaks to your soul. These gods live on in music, dance, and traditions that crossed oceans, resisting centuries of erasure. When you hear the resonant beat of an atabak, even without understanding the words, do you feel a vibration stirring something deep within? This is no accident. Music is a powerful channel to connect with the Orishas, calling their energies and reminding us of an ancient spiritual memory linking us all. How have these stories touched you? Comment, I feel this strength, or I want to know more about these gods, to share your experience and join this journey. The erasure of African traditions was no accident but a meticulously planned strategy to weaken entire peoples, dismantle their cultures, and erase memories brimming with centuries of wisdom and spiritual connection. When colonizers arrived in Africa, they quickly realized that dominating a people required more than seizing their land or exploiting their resources. They needed to control their souls. How do you achieve that? By erasing their beliefs, ridiculing their gods, demonizing their rituals, and imposing a new system that served the interests of power. African spirituality, deeply rooted in nature, respect for ancestors, and the balance between the visible and invisible, gave people identity, courage, and unity, qualities that threatened colonial control. Lies were spread, associating Orishas and other deities with evil forces, creating a stigma that lingers even today. How often have you heard Candomblé or Umbanda dismissed as negative without understanding their true essence? This is the legacy of a narrative constructed centuries ago to alienate people from this truth. During slavery, this erasure became even more brutal. Thousands of Africans were torn from their homelands, brought to the Americas under inhumane conditions, stripped of their freedom, languages, and spiritual practices. Rituals invoking Orishas, ancestral songs, and sacred instruments were banned, and those who persisted faced brutal punishment. Can you imagine the pain of seeing your faith outlawed, your sacred practices punishable by violence? Yet, in the face of such oppression, these peoples found ways to resist. They camouflaged their gods behind Catholic saints, creating a syncretism that preserved their faith. Yemanja became associated with Our Lady, Ashosi with Saint Sebastian, Shango with Saint Jerome, and Ogham with Saint George. On the surface, it appeared they had adopted the new religion, but beneath, they were safeguarding the living essence of their gods, ensuring no external force could fully erase them. Isn't that remarkable? The faith of these peoples was so resilient that even the shackles of slavery couldn't break it. Many rituals were distorted, labeled as witchcraft, and celebrations of life, harvest, and ancestors were vilified. In Brazil, Candomblé was criminalized for decades. Possessing percussion instruments could lead to arrest, and spiritual centers faced constant threats. Why were African cultures so fiercely opposed? Because they carried immense power, not just spiritual but social, fostering unity and resistance. These traditions taught that every individual has a unique energy, a sacred destiny uncontrollable by external forces. This terrified those who sought domination through conformity. When you recognize nature and ancestors as sacred, you understand you're never alone, guided by a force greater than any oppressor. This is the knowledge they didn't want you to have. Comment, I value the truth, or I want to know this story, to join this spiritual rescue mission, giving voice to a history silenced for generations. African gods connect deeply with other spiritual traditions, revealing universal truths. For centuries, we were told these deities were separate or even opposed to Western spirituality, but closer inspection reveals astonishing similarities. Oxala, associated with creation, peace, and light, mirrors Jesus Christ's energy of love, compassion, and sacrifice for humanity. This connection isn't merely symbolic but rooted in the historical adaptation of African beliefs during slavery. To protect their faith, enslaved Africans hid their gods behind Christian figures, allowing worship without punishment. Yemanja, the queen of the seas and mother of Orishas, aligns with Our Lady of Conception, both embodying maternal protection and fertility. Shango, god of thunder and justice, shares traits with Saint Jerome or Saint John the Baptist, carrying the energy of judgment and transformation. Ogum, the warrior who opens paths, parallels Saint George, the dragon-slaying hero. These overlaps are no coincidence. They show African spirituality's integration with other traditions, even under duress. The colonizers thought they were erasing African beliefs by imposing Christianity, but they inadvertently helped preserve them in a new form. How often have you seen someone light a candle for Saint George, unaware they're also invoking Ogum's warrior spirit, or prayed to Our Lady, channeling Yemanja's nurturing waters? Beyond Christianity, African myths resonate with other ancient cultures. Creation stories, where Olorin sends messengers to shape the world, echo Greek mythology's primordial deities, or the Old Testament's angels and prophets. These parallels don't diminish any tradition but highlight a universal spiritual thread weaving through all cultures. In Brazil, Yemanja's coastal celebrations, where thousands offer flowers to the sea, are often seen as folklore but are profound acts of worship, connecting participants to a goddess who transcends time. Have you noticed how some prayers, chants, or religious images carry an energy akin to Orishas songs? This is African culture, subtly integrated yet retaining its strength, as if the Orishas have always been watching, protecting, even when forgotten. Isn't it time to view this spirituality with respect, recognizing its historical and spiritual weight? Comment, I want to know these connections, or I'm discovering a new world, to share your thoughts and keep exploring these mysteries together. Historical evidence of African gods' resilience abounds, from oral traditions to tangible artifacts. Missionary records from the colonial era, though often prejudiced, document complex ceremonies and a profound connection to nature, revealing the spiritual depth of African societies. These accounts, meant to condemn, inadvertently preserved valuable insights. Sacred instruments, sculptures, amulets, and masks, found in excavations or cherished by communities, bear the memory of ancient rituals. Each drumbeat, each carved symbol, is a testament to a story that refuses to die. In Brazil, Africans brought not just labor but beliefs, songs, and rituals, resisting suppression through secret oral traditions passed from parent to child, master to apprentice. Candomblé houses are living archives, preserving songs, dances, and rituals with remarkable fidelity. Every celebration for an Orisha proves these deities were never forgotten. Scholars, anthropologists, and historians have marveled at the philosophical richness of African myths, comparing their depth to major world religions. In Africa, oral narratives about Shango, Yemanja, Ogum, and others carry ancestral voices, keeping collective identity alive. In Brazil, events like the Bonfim washing in Salvador or Yemanja's coastal tributes blend faith, gratitude, and respect for nature, drawing thousands. Have you felt the energy at such celebrations? Comment, I feel this strength, or I want more evidence to continue this journey. African spirituality is an energy science, not witchcraft as detractors claimed. Everything water, wind, fire, emotions is energy, and rituals harness these forces through drumbeats, dances, and symbols. Shango's rhythm invokes justice. Oxum's fosters love and healing. This depth intimidated colonizers, who mislabeled it as evil to justify persecution. Herbs, stones, and colors carry specific energies, used intentionally in rituals. Water tied to Oxum or Yemanja is a divine manifestation, not just a physical element. This isn't supernatural but a sophisticated understanding of universal laws, akin to physics or chemistry. African peoples mastered these energies to heal, protect, and restore balance. Comment, I want to understand this energy, or I feel this in nature. African influence permeates modern culture. Samba, jazz, reggae, and capoeira carry spiritual codes, Carnival samba schools celebrate Orishas through music, dance, and colors like Oxala's white peace, Oxum's yellow, abundance, and Shango's red, justice. Comment: I feel the strength of ancestry, or music connects me. Why does this truth provoke fear? It awakens an uncontrollable power, challenging imposed faith. African spirituality reveals your divine inheritance, urging you to ask, who am I? What's my power? This call threatens control. Feel a doubt about mainstream spirituality? That's your ancestry calling. Comment: I'm ready to wake up, or I feel this energy. This is a path to balance, strength, and purpose. Close your eyes. What truths about yourself are hidden? Your soul is ready to awaken. This journey into African gods is just the start. You've uncovered a truth that transforms, reconnecting you with an ancient, unstoppable power. Don't let it stay buried. Grab Reveal the Apocalypse from the first pinned comment before it's gone. Comment: I'm ready to wake up. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to keep this awakening alive. Share this with someone who needs it.